Hey, this is Joe from Soflyy, and in this video, we are going to import users into WordPress from Excel using WP All Import. So to get started, we'll go down here to All Import and select New Import. And then we have three options. We can upload a file, we can download a file from a URL or an FTP server, or we can use an existing file that I've used in a previous import. In this case, I'll select Upload a File, and here it is, Users with Job Info. Open that. And let's take a look at the file real quick. And it's exactly what you'd expect, right? It's just columns, first name, last name, email. Then we have some other custom information over here. With WP All Import, it doesn't really matter how the file is set up. You'll see in a little bit, we're just going to drag and drop this information to tell WP All Import how the file is structured. It can handle pretty much any file structure. Okay, so we have two options, new items and existing items. The difference here is with an existing items import, we can match to any users on my site, right? No matter how they were added. So I can match the data in my file to the existing users and then update them, add new users, remove users, etc. We're going to do a new items import. And with this import, no matter how many times we run this import with whatever data, right? I set up this import, I run it, I add a new file to this import and run it later that has different data in it. It can do the same thing. It can update users, add new users, remove users that were removed from the file. The difference is it can only touch users that were created by this specific import, right? So you're a little bit safer with the new items import. Okay, so we're going to select new items and we're going to create new users. So in this pull down, we'll select users. And in this pull down, you'll see all of the custom post types on your site. So if it's a real estate site with a real estate plugin, you'll see your listings your custom post type for your listings here. If you have a WooCommerce site with WooCommerce installed, then you can import WooCommerce orders, WooCommerce products with images, etc. Okay, so in this case, we're going to select users. If you're interested in importing other stuff, check out our documentation, check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of content on that. All right, so we selected users. We're going to create new users for each record in my data file, and we'll continue to step 2. All right, so this is how WP All Import is seeing my file, right? I have 8,345 users, 8,345 rows in my Excel sheet, and it's split those up. So each row is showing here. And then these are the column titles, right? First name, last name, email, etc. So we're just making sure that it came in okay for spreadsheet files like CSVs and Excel files and everything else. That's a spreadsheet file. It's going to get this right on the first try. You might have some problems with XML. If you're curious about XML imports, check out our YouTube channel, check out our documentation. We have more information on that. And then down here, we have some filtering options. So let's say we just wanted to import everybody, in the business development department. We can just set that up over here. So the department equals, and then we would just type in business development, right? Click add rule, and then it's going to only import people with where the sales department equals business development. We have other content on filtering options on our YouTube channel and our documentation. If you're curious about the filtering options, check those out, and you can get sorted that way. All right, so everything looks good. We're just going to import everything. We'll continue to step 3. And then here on the left, this is our template. And then here on the right is our data. So all we have to do is drag and drop. So first name goes there, last name goes there. Login information. This is going to be the login name for the user that they use to log in. So we'll create that. We'll just go first name and last name and the email. I'm just going to put in their email address. And then here is the password section. So with the password, if we leave this blank, WP All Import is going to randomly generate a password for the users. And then what they can do is they can go in and they can click the Forgot My Password link, or you can email them that link. And then they can go in and create their own unique password for the user account, right? You can also just, if you want to, you can just type in some information here, like default password, and then everybody that they import is going to have this as their password, maybe not the most secure, or if you're a crazy person, you could have a column in your file that has their password stored in clear text. But realistically, the two options that you're probably going to be using are leaving it blank and just letting WordPress generate the password, or you can use a hashed password from another WordPress site. So let's say I have another WordPress site with all my users and I want to import those into this site. I want to migrate my users. We can do that securely and keep their passwords, by exporting with WPL export, exporting the hashed version of the password, right? And that's going to store that in the file in clear text, but it's hashed. So even if, somebody gets their hands on that file that shouldn't have it, nobody can see the password. They only see the hashed encrypted version of the password. We put that data in here. And then when the users go to log into this version of the site, they can use their same password. So if you're curious about migrating users from another site, check out our documentation, check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of content on how to do that using WPL export. Okay, so again, I'm just going to leave this blank and let WordPress handle it with randomly generated passwords. Okay, so other user info, this is where you put in the user role. So I'm just going to type in subscriber. If I wanted this to be dynamic, generated by the user role determined by the file, I could, for example, I could set up the department as a user role and then have a user role for each department. And then I would just drag in this data over there. However you want to do it, I'm just going to type in subscriber and make them all subscribers. For the nickname, this defaults to the person's username, but let's make it a little bit nicer. Let's add a space. There we go. First name, space, last name for the nickname. And the display name, let's do the same thing. So I copied that. I'll paste it over here in the display name. And this just is the string that's shown on the front end of the site, like from author information or something like that. So we'll paste in first name, space, last name for the display name. Then we have the description. So I don't have a description field, but I can make one. So let's do that here with job title. So this person is a media manager in the business development department. Okay. And this next one over here, for this field, this would say that they're an editor in the accounting department, etc. And you can do anything you want over here. Any combination of static text and tags and things like that. Okay, registered. This is the date that the person registered on the site. If I leave it blank, the registered date, it's just going to be the time I ran the import. But I have the hired date over here, so I can just add that in, right? Like that. And then nice name. The nice name is what's going to be used in the URL, right? So we can just leave this blank because the default is just going to be the person's username. That's good enough. Okay, URL, put it in their LinkedIn profile. That looks good to me. And then we have custom fields, right? Now you remember from my file, I have some custom fields over here that are not added onto, that are not part of the standard WordPress user meta. So how do we add those in? So we click See Detected Fields, and this brings in all of the fields associated with all of the users on my site. Now I don't need most of these, right? I'm not going to bothering with the rich text editing meta field. So let's remove everything that doesn't matter. Okay, so these are the ones that I have to worry about. And what we did here is we went in and we did this with ACF. So I just created a field group. And in this field group, I just added the fields that I wanted to use. Then we go in and we create a user. I have a test user over here. And I just added in this dummy information over here. Right? And if we check, here it says, if not all of the fields were detected, then manually create a user. Fill out each field you want to import data into. And I did that over here, right? Created the fields, and then I created the user with the meta fields. Then create a new import, and WPL import will display these fields as available for import below. So we've already done that. Okay, so now let's remove some of these that we don't need. This underscore in front, this is used by ACF, so we don't want to actually import into that. So we'll remove those. There we go. Okay, so now let's remove these. Well, this dummy data. Perfect. And now we just drag in the info. So we have job title goes here, department goes here, hired date goes here, allergies goes here, and performance review goes here. And we're done. That's it. Now, if we want to, we also have a function editor over here, so we can pass data into PHP functions and then use the value returned by that PHP function in the fields, right? We can do that anywhere. All of these fields, we can put PHP functions. If you're curious about how to use PHP functions in WPL import, check out our documentation, check out our YouTube channel. We have a ton of code snippets to get you started. You don't need to know how to write PHP or even know what PHP is to use WPL import. If you want to learn, or if you're really bad at writing PHP, this is a great way to learn. You're just writing really simple functions, and we have a lot of documentation to get you started. So, right, that is our function editor, right? It's for just writing functions that you can use to import data over here. And again, we have a lot of stuff on how to get started with that. All right, so our import template is set up. Let's continue to step 4. Okay, so then here we have the unique identifier. So we'll just click auto detect, and it's detected first name, last name. So everybody with the unique first name and last name is going to be seen as a unique record in this import. If you're curious what the unique identifier is, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's all listed here. If you have any questions, you can check out our documentation or just email the support team if you have any issues here. These settings over here are mostly for recurring imports. So if I run this import again later, what should I do? So let's say I edit this file on my computer and I change some of the job titles, right? And some of the people get fired, so I remove them, and then we hired some new people, so I add them, right? Upload the new version of the file to this import and run it again. What should I do? Should I create new users with the new records I've added? The existing one, the people with the same first name and last name, what should I do with the data? Should I update the data? Should I update all of it? Should I choose which data to update and just only update, the meta fields or something like that? And then finally, what should I do if I remove a user? Should I delete them? Should I change a custom field to, fired or something like that? Totally up to you. We have a lot of documentation and videos on our YouTube channel about recurring imports and how to handle this. This is mostly self-explanatory. You can check out other content on this, or email our support team if you're having some issues and have some questions. And then finally, notifications for imported users. When I run this import, by default, we're going to block the email notifications. If I uncheck this, then everybody over here is going to get an email when I run this import. And it's going to send them the standard WordPress welcome email, right? That's going to include a password reset URL. Now, whatever you want to do here, if you want these emails to be sent, or if you don't want them to be sent, if it's important to you that actually happens, you should run a test first with a small import that uses an email address you control. If you're trying to block the email notifications, there are some plugins out there and some code that you can write that can get around that and have those emails sent regardless. So definitely do a test first. If you're trying to make sure those emails are sent, well, you should probably test it to make sure the email is formatted right, that the links work, etc. So definitely run some tests here before you run your import. I'm just going to block everything in case there actually is a bigcorp.com and Logan works there and that's his email. I don't want them getting that email. So yeah, then our scheduling options. With imports and exports with our software, you can set up schedules so these imports run on a set schedule that you define. So I can't do that here because I'm uploading the file, right? So there's no point scheduling it because it's just going to use the same file again. However, if I'm downloading the file from a URL, I can set my schedule up so every week it downloads the latest version of the file and then updates the data on my site using these settings here. If this is something you want to do, check out our documentation, check out our YouTube channel. We have a lot of videos and content on how to set up schedules. And then finally, some advanced settings over here. You don't really need to worry about these. These are mostly for debugging purposes. If you run into some sort of issue or an error, usually the error message will send you to the documentation that'll tell you what you need to do. And regardless, these are all pretty self-explanatory with a nice little tooltip to explain how they work. Here you can import only specified records. So for example, if I want to do a test and I just want to import the first record or the first 12, or the first 12 and the 15th, I can do that here. And there's a little syntax over here that explains how this feature works. I'm just going to import everything though. We'll give this a friendly name, call it job info, and this is the name for my import that'll show up on the manage imports page. All right, so that's all my settings. Let's continue our confirmation page and we'll confirm and run the import. So I'll let this run for a few minutes and we'll come back when it's finished. All right, our import has finished. Let's go ahead and check out our users. Okay, so let's check this one out. All right, everything came in okay. This person is a recruiter in the human resources department. And all of our custom fields came in as they should. So that is all it takes to import users into WordPress from Excel using WP All Import. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon.